What's up, everybody? How's it going today? So glad that you're with us. Here to join us on episode 21, I believe. So glad to have you with us. Got a great set of basketball games today. We might jump into that, but we are really, really stoked to talk about an excellent Thursday night football game, divisional rivalry, perennial playoff teams. Well, almost perennial. We'll get to that. But first, let's get to our guest, Andrew. How you doing, Andrew? How's it going today, man?
Doing great, guys. Thanks so much for having me. Looking forward to this game. I mean, as a Bengals fan, I'm looking forward to this game, but as a football fan, as a fantasy fan, we finally get a good Thursday night game. I'm excited. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm predicting a 6-9 score here. We'll see what happens.
Don't you do that to me, man.
But two great kickers as well, man. So I'm all stoked about that. And a lot to get to. But before we do that, Andrew, why don't you please tell everybody where they can find your work, man, and where you're located?
Sure thing. Yeah. So I Andrew Hall at Andrew Hall FF on the Twitter. It's still Twitter to me. You can find me on there. I'm definitely slowing down on the content game as we get through the season. I'm more of a dynasty focused person. So I do I should back up. I write for Fantasy Pros. I have an article that comes out for them every week that does a lot of roster trends, like who was added, why, who was dropped and why, and kind of going through the top options just to catch people up that might have missed it or like didn't hear the news or don't understand why Brandon Ayuk is being dropped. Just to kind of catch people up on that. And then every Friday at 4:00 Eastern, I do a Dynasty AMA on the Fantasy Pros Discord, where I think is much more meaningful than an article, because a lot of times when it comes to Dynasty questions, you got people that are like, well, here's my roster and here's my scoring. Should I make this trade? Like, should I contend? All this kind of stuff. So I think an AMA is always, it's just easier to kind of get through some of that. So that's what we've been doing instead of a Dynasty article during the season, which I kind of like. It's a little bit lower impact. It's a little bit less stress and kind of more, I think it's more helpful for those that tune in. So if you've got Dynasty questions, feel free to join us in the Fantasy Pros Discord on Fridays, 4:00 Eastern every week. It is a free Discord, doesn't cost you anything. Just come on in and ask some questions. But yeah, that's pretty much what I'm up to these days.
Yeah, man. That's awesome. Yeah, Fantasy Pros always has a collection of some of the best, so make sure you check it out. And I agree, AMA, that is way less stress, Feels like it's putting on the audience instead of you putting it all on there. So we all have questions. Make sure you go check out Fantasy Pros Discord. It is free, like you said. Evan, how have you been, man? Everything good in the beautiful western part of the country here?
It sure is. We're like two different worlds, man. Sending me a picture of some snow earlier today, and I'm over here beating down in the sun, right? So it's but doing well, man. Can't be upset about the good weather that we have here. And yeah, man, excited for some football, right? Week 10. I mean, like we hear week 10 already, right? I mean, but it does fly by. And tonight's game, I mean, I don't know, 9-6, obviously the sarcasm, but we were talking about, the betting angles, like what's not to like? I mean, over on everybody, right? The two kickers, the yards, the passing, the touchdowns. It's like pick your poison. I mean, even if they don't score as much as the first matchup, there still should be a lot of offense in this game. So for what we like as fans, man, it should be a good one. Excited, obviously, to have Andrew with us. I feel like maybe he should talk about the Ravens because we know he wants to talk about the Bengals. We should have maybe switched it up on it, but
yeah, I know a lot about the Ravens. Yeah, I'm not a fan, but I know a lot. Yeah.
Right. Well, hold on. That's like going to a butcher and asking him for his thoughts on carrots, man. We're not going to do that. We're going to stick with cuts of meat over here with my guy Andrew. Or I should have said cigars, because my man Andrew is a cigar aficionado. Brings them to the Fantasy Football Expo. Had a whole bunch of them out for everybody to enjoy. There's a whole circle of people circled up smoking some very great cigars. Very kind of you, Andrew. Sure. And are you in the Kings Classic? I see you wearing your Kings Classic shirt. Are you in the Blanda or which one?
I'm in the Jim Brown division with I'm co-managing a team with Pat Fitzmaurice for Fantasy Pros. So there's only one Fantasy Pros team, right? Everybody only gets one in those tournaments. And so Pat Fitzmaurice was kind enough to let me co-manage because there's a snake draft and an auction draft. And so it was a little bit too much for him, and as it would be for me too, to kind of do both. So a lot of the sites will split it up. So I'm helping. We both drafted together, but I'm taking care of the auction team. And Not going well, but I don't think it's because of talent on my part. It's just we had a lot of injuries, as we've all seen. I feel like that team just hit every possible injury rung on the way down. Just the way it goes sometimes. So yeah, it's still been a lot of fun to kind of compete against some of those big dogs. But yeah, it's my first year in, and hopefully not my last.
No, hopefully not, man. I'm 3-6 in mine as well in my version of Kings Classic. I do got Mike Gesicki going. We will talk about him later. I do know JC over at the Sports Affiliation has his prop in the newsletter coming out. Make sure if you're not subscribed, please go head over to the Sports Affiliation. Simply go to the website, scroll to the bottom, put in your email. We don't spam you. It's just simply our content. And if you have questions, you can always hit us up there as well. And then as well in the YouTube, man, we're pretty close to 500 subscribers. So if there's any new viewers watching this now or later, please go check it out. And if you're watching this on Twitter, please get your comments in. I got my phone loaded, so if you put something in there, I should see it. It's on Evans as well. So, and then we're on YouTube. Well, let's go ahead and get right down to it. I'm looking at the props or the lines in this game. Your Bengals are 6-point dogs currently, 52.5 on the over/under. I'm trying to think if I've seen a Thursday night football with that line. I know we had a game not too long ago between Tampa Bay, I believe, and Atlanta. And that was a pretty monstrous game as far as points go. When we're looking at this right now, 52.5 line in the AFC North divisional rivalry game. Something tells me that's everything inside of me. The defense, the Ray Lewis, the Vontaze Burfict, these guys that I just think about when I think of the AFC North. It's just they're telling me no. It's all Lamar and it's all Mr. Burrow over there. So let's go ahead and just get some overall predictions. We'll start with you, Andrew, then we'll go to Evan. And then, Evan, give us kind of some of your favorite bets when it comes around to you as well. So, Andrew, go ahead and let us know what you got.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously, the Bengals and the Ravens played a couple of weeks ago. It was one of the better games of the season. It was pretty much a shootout, back and forth the whole game. I think the Bengals were up by 10 at one point. I was actually at that game. It was a hell of a game to watch live. And it was a little bit of a disappointing ending, right? I mean, the Bengals couldn't pull it off, but we took the Ravens to overtime. I still think back on the beginning part of the season, the Bengals were 1 point scores. That's all the losses they had was 1 point deficit or one score deficit. I just wouldn't call it. So taking the Ravens to overtime, I think was still pretty impressive. That game was at home. It was a 1:00 game. Those are a little bit different. Now we're in prime time. It's an island game. It's at night. It's at Baltimore. That's the other part of this. I didn't see a lot of defense last time. I'm not necessarily expecting to see a change. I think we're still going to see some offense. Was it 54? Is that what you said? Or 52?
52.5, my friend.
52.5. I would not be surprised at all if we see a 30-24 kind of finish. And I would be taking the over here. I just feel like that's probably what it's going to be. I mean, again, with the kind of that lines up with the spread and everything, right? That's kind of where my head goes is like, well, what is that? What is Vegas predicting the score to be? 30-24 Bengals, I think sounds exactly right to me. So I'm definitely smashing that spread too. I feel like this is the game that it's a divisional game. We go back and forth. I will gladly take Bengals +6 on this one and the over. I'm actually thinking about maybe parlaying that. I stopped betting on my Bengals because it just hurts too much. I'd rather not live and die that much. What I did start doing was betting against my Bengals. So that way I'm kind of covered. But that just feels dirty. So so anyway, that's my prediction of what I think is going to happen is that Bengals cover and the over hits as well. That's my guess.
Yeah, Andrew's like, I'm not going to be talking about bets. I'm not like a big let's go smash this bet guy right before the show. Comes out the gate. He's over here
with my heart. This is with my heart, not with my head. This is my heart.
Here.
We got the boy. Look at it go. Make it dance.
No, I'm just saying that's my heart. That's not my head. I don't want people to follow my heart.
Hey, I think Evan and I have probably both subscribed to that strategy before of betting on our team and not going well, and we go the other way. I've been doing that to his Lakers lately. That's another story. Every Laker game I bet on, they've lost. So, but Evan, why don't you go ahead and tell us maybe your prediction for this game? What's your stuffed crust smash and just some general? How do you feel going? And also, we'll come back to Andrew on this real quick after you're done, Evan. Trey Hendrickson, man, we got to talk about it. His sack prop line is at -110 for over 0.25 a sack. Get out of here, man. But what do you think you got going on today, Evan?
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm right there with the Bengals covering the 6. I mean, you can get 6.5 in some places, which that half point, is nice. And I mean, yeah, 28-24, 30-24, either way, right? I think that, the Bengals last time came out and they blitzed the heck out of Baltimore. Lamar just sliced them and diced them. I think you see it's the second matchup, right? So you're going to see a little bit of change. I think they sit back a little bit more, which maybe gets a little more. I mean, if I'm Baltimore, I'm feeding Derrick Henry in the beginning of the game nonstop to try to open up that passing attack that we see that is really good, regardless of who they play. But I think the Bengals find a way to get maybe a stop or two they didn't get last time. So that 40-41 total, probably not going to see it again. But like we said right before the show, like, still going to be a ton of offense. It just, the Ravens pass defense is not good. The Bengals defense, they've played a good couple games, but Browns, Raiders, Giants, right? I think is who they played. Raiders, Giants, and now get it. It's the NFL.
Eagles,
wins are wins, holding down opponents. We see teams light up scoreboards. So I'm not taking away the wins, but I'm still going to look at those opponents, and I'm not going to say the Bengals defense has fixed. And this Baltimore offense, man, is just unreal, right? You got Deontay Johnson added to the fold tonight. Hopefully a little more than last week if you're a Deontay Johnson manager, right? The situation has changed for him. Not quite the ceiling that you want now because Zay won't be taken out of it, but it just adds another element. To me, it adds another Zay Flowers on the field, a guy that can run amazing routes. And now he's got a quarterback that can get him the football. But I think the Bengals, you saw, I mean, no Higgins tonight, 9 catches last time, but they got Gesicki, they got Isivas. They've got those guys that Burrow can sling it to whoever's out there. And we saw this Baltimore defense has been diced by everybody. So, I do like Deontay Johnson tonight, like 19.5 yards. It's not really analytical because he's only played one game with 36% snaps, but you don't trade for Deontay Johnson and a guy of his caliber to not get him involved. 20 yards? So this may not be my most statistical analytical bet, Iggy, but I'm taking Deontay Johnson because you just don't get a number this low. And if you want me to go the other way, you got to take Jamar Chase. It's all the way up to 85.5. I took it at 79.5, 80.5. I might take it again. This guy torches the Ravens. He averages over 10 targets a game, over 95 yards. That's with 2 bad games last year with Mike McDonald as the defensive coordinator, who's no longer there in Baltimore. They are going to feed Jamar Chase tonight. He is just a beast. I think you have to take that. I like both those guys. Tight ends, of course. I mean, Baltimore has been awful against tight ends. You got to think Gesicki's going to get involved. Burrow's been targeting him. And with no T. Higgins, there's a lot to go around. So, I mentioned to you taking Gesicki the other day at 47.5. I think he's up now to at least 51.5. Maybe a little high, but again, there should be a lot of yards, a lot of offense in this game. I'm not quite sure which side I have it. I just have kind of the score that way, but I'm all over the Bengals, like I said, +6. It's a division game. AFC North is usually a 3-point spread. The Bengals desperately need this game still. The Ravens, they could use it. Lamar as a favorite at home, not that great against the spread. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but he doesn't usually do well against the spread at home in his career. Surprising for how many games they win, but they could win, not cover. I know Andrew wants the total full effect of the Bengals covering by winning. I could see that, man. The Bengals have enough talent to get it done. They can get to the quarterback. They got a new game plan. So I like a close game, 28-24, 30-24. Get that extra half point if you can get it. You want me to give you a saucy bet right now, or you want to wait?
Let's go ahead and hit our promotion because, I'm looking at it with our Better Takes app. So let's go ahead and get a word from them and see what they have to say about the spread tonight.
Find your win tuition and elevate your sports betting with Better Takes. Better Takes examines your betting history to uncover hidden areas that cause bankroll leaks. Uncover patterns and biases so you can break the cycle of mistakes, avoid weaknesses, and play into your strengths. Our advanced stats offer unparalleled granularity, helping you immediately spot problem areas that could be affecting your success. Use the Better Takes Edge score to gauge your expertise for each potential bet, providing clarity and confidence in your decisions. Take control of your betting journey. Download Better Takes from the Apple App Store or Google Play today and start understanding your biases for free. Before placing bets, check with Better Takes, a smarter, more informed approach to sports betting.
All right. Yeah, you saw it right there with the Better Takes app. I got it pulled up right here. It's free, first off, and it just computes all your data that you've used with other sports books, tracks how many times you've placed this bet. So when you go put on Bengals +6, how confident are you? We'll go +4. I see 6 across the board at -10, so I just push in a book. It brings it up. You just click Analyze Bet. And once you do that, the screen comes up, and it says it's a 49.46% anytime I've gone on the spread with the Bengals, which is about, where you want to be. You don't want to be too low. If you get anything above 50%, it's an absolute smash because you're having a greater success rate against the sports book. So +6 tonight looks like it's a good bet. And make sure you go check out Better Takes, all right? It's a free app. You can use it on your phones. Once you incorporate, give it access to your sports book, it calculates all the data you've done for years and years and years. And it's a very awesome tool to have as a bettor. Okay, so make sure you go check that out. Yeah, let's get to our Sauce's Boss.
Cold pizza Tuesday.
Give a shout out to Jerry, my man Jerry B over there. He is he's asking for advice, but Andrew, out of the 112 people that play in the Fantasy Football Sevens charity league that I run, he's the only one that's undefeated, man. He is at 9-0 right now. So I don't know that he needs a whole lot of information, but it is Baker versus Bo this week. Who do you guys got real quick? And then we'll go into some players that we like tonight with the Sauce's Boss and start building our DFS lineup. Go ahead, Evan, and then we'll go to answer. Who do you got, Baker or Bo Nix?
Yeah, I'm going to roll with Baker in this one, man. You saw what he did against Kansas City, who's just been great. I mean, I think all I need to see is Baker slinging the rock to whoever's out there. Kate Otten has just been amazing. The Niners' pass defense hasn't been anything special the last year and a half. I know we think of them as this great defense, and they're okay, but you can throw on them. Baker has just been too good. And now you get the Broncos-Chiefs, a division game. I think that game might be a little lower than people are looking at. I think the Chiefs might struggle a little more in that game. They're not playing the Bucks. Bo Nix may not need to throw a ton there. They may not score a lot of points. And the Niners are going to score. They're going to put up points against the Bucks because everybody does. So give me Baker.
All right. Do you feel the same way, Andrew, or do you got a rebuttal to that?
No, I definitely do. And honestly, Bags is the man. I love Jerry Bagshot. Tip in the comments. Thanks so much for that. I know Jerry Bagwell, or he's in a bunch of different leagues, and he tends to dominate. So I'm not shocked at that. But if he's asking this question, that makes me think he's got a stellar team, and this is the only thing he's concerned about. That checks. I'll say this: in Fantasy Pros ECR, Bo Nix is QB 19 on the week, and Baker Mayfield is QB 12. So it's Baker for me by a mile. The other thing is Baker is currently ranked this week ahead of Pat Mahomes, Tua Tagovailoa, CJ Stroud, and Justin Herbert. What world are we living in? Do you know what I mean? That just seems so upside down world, but that's where we are. Pat Mahomes hasn't been stellar, right? For fantasy anyway. Justin Herbert's been all over the place. CJ Stroud's had great games, but without Nico, kind of nothing. And again, Tua finally back, but he's not seeming to be able to find Tyreek where he needs to. So yeah, Baker is one of those, again, QB1 in a 12-team league. I think Baker's the guy for sure for me.
All right. I'm not going to disagree with you. I think Bo Nix can have a pretty good game due to his rushing yards playing against the Chiefs. But I drafted Baker everywhere. I had Godwin everywhere. That was a major blow to me in the Kings Classic when I lost Godwin. So I've been trying to scramble to find that wide receiver 2 for me, even though he was wide receiver 1. And then, Baker in my best ball, man. Baker was so late. You could get him in the 13th or 14th round. And I was like, man, he had a great offense last year. I don't think much is going to change. Lo and behold, he doesn't have Evans. He doesn't have Godwin, and he's still tearing it up. So go with them right there. And let's just get right to it. I'm going to pull up my DraftKings Sportsbook, and then we're going to go ahead and go with you, Andrew. Who do you think is going to have the best night, all around night? Who do you think it's going to be? It could be wide receiver, running back, kicker, whoever.
Well, I think Evan hit on Jamar Chase. I kind of agree. I think Chase is going to have a big night. But the one that I'm probably going on, if I'm going to pick someone, is I tend to avoid those bigger lines. That just feels like you just have to have so many things go right. So I guess I don't know if I heard. I'm kind of curious. What's Mike Gesicki's line? Because that's the one I would probably be in on.
All right, let's see. And just to clarify, I'm just doing a $5 double up. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be the biggest DFS expert, but it's a lot of fun, and this is going to be a fun game, so I want something to cheer for. So when we look at just the normal prices of Gesicki, he's at $6,600.
But that's not bad in tight end, right? Like there's probably like 5 or 10 tight ends that are studs that are ahead of him. I'd rather take Gesicki. I mean, I'm just going to put it out there. Like I think that number to me feels right. Jamar Chase, you're going to have to pay for, right? You're going to have to lock that in. I like saving money at tight end if I can, and I think Gesicki's going to be the guy. So that's the one that I'm kind of locking in for tonight as a definite. I just don't trust Mark Andrews. Really, is what it comes down to. Like I just think and Likely is out. But Andrews is still a question mark to me. Now they got Deontay Johnson, who's kind of like a tight end. I'm good on that. So yeah, I'm definitely going with
Gesicki. How are the Bengals rush defense? And then Evan, I'm going to get to you. Is the Bengals? I don't have those numbers in front of me right now. Is Wilson and Pratt and those guys, are they not doing well? I might be leaning Henry, but SoCal, who do you got?
Henry's not bad at all. I'm not going to argue with that because again, the Bengals rush defense isn't stellar, but yeah,
he's the second most expensive. Henry's the second most expensive captain with 16,800. Gesicki's the sixth most expensive active player. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, seventh most expensive, or eighth most expensive. Well, it says Higgins is doubtful, so seventh most expensive at 9,900. Evan, who do you like? Do you like somebody different?
Man, speaking my language, Andrew, a cheap tight end. Nothing better than that in the fantasy world than a buy low tight end. It's ugly and it's awesome. It's messy in the kitchen with ugly tight ends, but we're here for it, man. I love the call on that. You know, I think, like talking about Gesicki's going to be widely involved, and I agree. You're paying up for Jamar Chase. Paying up for Derrick Henry, though, might be a little bit different. Like I said, I think Baltimore, they need to run the football and open things up. And like you watch Henry every week, even when he stopped, he eventually gets there. Like 70 yards and a touchdown is a bad game for this dude. And I know paying up, like we want more than that, but he's going to get the touches when they're down there, right? Like he's going to get in the end zone. I like Henry. And if I was going to go elsewhere, I mean, I think that Burrow at quarterback's probably the play too. I think he throws touchdowns tonight in this game. Like, I think if Chase Brown gets in the end zone, it's probably going to be via pass as well. I can see Burrow throwing 4 touchdowns in this one, win or lose.
You want Burrow too?
Happy with that. Speaking my language now, I like that. I mean, Khalil Herbert's going to be active tonight too, right? Like, you were talking about Deontay being active. I don't know. I mean, the Khalil Herbert really hasn't been used much. The Bears didn't really use him much at all. He seems very fresh. I wouldn't be shocked at all as a running back, especially here, take the ball and run. I mean, yeah, he's going to be in on some plays where he's going to have to learn blocking assignments and things like that. So he might not be in to do a lot of that, but I wouldn't be shocked at all if in the third and fourth quarter, he breaks off a run and ends up being a stellar value for someone that is probably going dirt cheap for that, like $3,000 or something stupid. You know what I mean? Like minimum number. That's who I might even look at as a flyer in a tournament.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is a double up, but Herbert's only 2,800.
Well, you see what I'm saying? I know in a double up, it doesn't make sense, right? But I'm saying like in a tournament, if you're going for like one of those bigger packages, like you got to be a differentiator. You can get Chase and Herbert. That's not bad. Then you can kind of afford those big guys,
And I mean, Deontay's probably not too bad on the other side. I mean, exactly. I think Deontay, there's no surprise if Deontay comes out and has 15 yards, but there's no surprise if he comes out and has 6 catches for 70 yards because of the type of receiver he is and what we've seen the Ravens do against the Bengals. Like, he could just take Zay Flowers' spot. We know everybody's on Zay, so would it be that surprising for it to be Deontay's night? To me, not at all. I want to mention real quick, just while we're on the note of tight ends, Andrews, obviously, in the red zone. Bengals have given up 5 touchdowns to tight ends. I think it's kind of like a pretty popular play. Gesicki as well, the fact that we all think he'll be involved. Tight ends against Baltimore. So those are 2 easy ones, right? But how about Burrow's guy giving the no-name tight ends on Thursday night some primetime love? Give me a Drew Sample.
I was just thinking that, yeah.
Anytime touchdown plus 700, Iggy. If that ain't saucy, baby, come on.
That is saucy. That's thick sauce in there. We're getting Detroit style sauce over there. But yeah, Evan, do you still got time to hang out, or do you need to check out, or what's going on with you, my man? If so, we can get you out, but if not, we can keep you on.
Yeah, I'll get running. See, I get so excited, I don't even know what time it is. That's why I tell Iggy what's going on, so he can make sure I'm kept in line here. So I appreciate it, man. Andrew, thank you, brother. It was good having you. Good luck to the Bengals tonight. I'll let you guys finish up, man, and I'll see you guys later.
All right, man. Thanks for that sample call, man. Have a great day. Yeah, Andrew, so we go back to it, finishing it up. I've got Gesicki, I've got Andrews, I've got Burrow, and I've got Chase, and I've got Henry on our 50-50 lineup. That leaves us 3,500 on DraftKings once again. We got what is this guy's name again? Asavosis?
Andre Yoshivas, is that what you're talking about?
Yoshivas, that's it.
Yoshivas. It's really good.
Yoshivas. So just think of
Yep.
Mario for me and Voss, and I got it.
Yep.
Nelson Aguilar, 3,000. Khalil Herbert, 2,800. Would you rather have Yoshivas or would you rather have Herbert? Or what are you thinking? Who's going to have the better night?
Well, with Higgins being out or doubtful, I'm probably leaning Yoshivas, but there have been a couple of games where he does a lot and then some games where he does nothing. So, I mean, obviously that's the same for any of these guys. But again, if I don't think Higgins plays, anytime he's been listed doubtful, he doesn't play. And again, with those soft tissue injuries and the way that he's been as a very fragile receiver in a sense, and I hate to say that, but the way that he's been, if he's doubtful, he doesn't play. So I think Yoshi's probably the one I would go with.
All right. So just to conclude it then, we got Gesicki as our captain, then Andrews and Joe Burrow, Chase, Yoshivas, and then Derrick Henry. So we are tilting on the Bengals here from a fantasy perspective. I'm not against that. Like I said, $5 double up. I went ahead and we're clicking submit. We're in, man. I'm not the biggest DFS player, but there we go. Any other fantasy news that you'd like to share for this upcoming week or anything you think people should be on? Or is there any dynasty move that people need to be looking at? For example, in the IDP community, I told everybody go get Gibbons if he's still available. He's going to be filling in for the linebacker role for the Tennessee Titans. I went and grabbed him in a dynasty league that I'm in that includes IDP because he was still available. And double-digit tackle. Titans aren't probably going to have a great offense, so I went and scooped him up as much as possible. Any dynasty moves from you?
Well, I know, especially in Dynasty, you get real deep, right? You're looking at 25, 30, 40 players sometimes. I know, too, in Superflex leagues, you're getting quarterbacks that you don't want to have rostered. But one of the ones that I've been kind of keeping an eye on is Desmond Ridder, right? I mean, he's been getting some starts. The Raiders are now saying that they're going to be leaning on – sorry, the Raiders. The Raiders are saying they're going to be leaning on Gardner Minshew, and I think that makes total sense. But he has been kind of up and down. He's been hurt. So I'm trying to tell everybody as a stash, like, go pick up Ridder. I think he could have some value in Superflex leagues. I think that it's worth having a bunch of quarterbacks if you can anyway. He's Dynasty ECR number 50 in quarterback right now. Like, again, if you're looking at, let's say you have 12 teams and it's Superflex, you're going to have at least 36 quarterbacks that potentially have the ability to start. There's only 32 teams. Right. So you're already getting into backups by that point. So that's when I look at it like, well, what deep guys have the ability to rocket up the rankings? And I think Ridder is one of those guys. And again, even if it's just to trade him to someone else who's, quarterback needy in week 12 or 15 or whenever, that's what I try to look for. So, I mean, it's kind of your same logic. Like, well, who do I think is going to put up points? Who do I think is going to see an increase in value? That's who I want in Dynasty.
Okay. And let me just go ahead and toss this to you real quick. It is. We got 4 teams on bye this week. 4 pretty good quarterbacks. I mean, Geno Smith, Jordan Love. There's some good quarterbacks out this week. You're putting the situation 6 per passing touchdown. You taking Cooper Rush or Mac Jones in a super flex league?
Oh God, what a decision, right? Like that is brutal. I mean, you're talking about this week or the season? I guess that's where I want to make sure I answer the right question. Just this week, I'd probably go Cooper Rush. Partially because I think the way that offense runs, CeeDee Lamb is going to get his, and at least in the first week. But the other twist is if you're telling me about the rest of the season, I probably lean Mac Jones. But just again, like I don't know how long Trevor is going to be out. I don't know how long of a leash, I guess, they're going to give Cooper Rush. I don't know how long Dak's going to be out. But I just think that offense is probably a little bit better. And if you're looking for 1 week to kind of fill something in, I guess I lean Cooper Rush, but both of those are gross choices.
Yeah. Hopefully you're not to that yet. I did have to go.
I am in some leagues. It's
not even a super flex league, and I still had to go. It was between Russell Wilson, Cooper Rush. I wasn't even looking at Mac Jones, to be honest. So I was able to get Wilson, thank goodness. And I'm kind of big on Van Jefferson. There's a deep dive for some people. He's probably stashed in most of your dynasty league somewhere, but maybe not. He's had 2 pretty decent weeks with Russell Wilson. I mean, he's the clear-cut number 2 right after Pickens. And if Pickens gets doubled or if they try to shut down his deep threat, a la Van Jefferson and his I want to say he's like almost 6'2". He's a pretty big wide receiver. So go take a look at him as well. Hey, man, Andrew, why don't you remind everybody where to find your work again and any closing thoughts from you?
Sure thing. Yeah. So thanks so much for having me, Iggy. I love this kind of stuff. Again, I'm not a hardcore bettor, but I can definitely talk betting and be done about it if that's what you're looking for. So yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Andrew Hall FF. You can find me on Fantasy Pros. I have a weekly article there just about roster trends, like I said, and then find me in the Discord on Fantasy Pros Discord on Fridays, 4:00 Eastern every week. We do an hour, kind of like an hour-long session. Come in, ask whatever questions you got. Some weeks there's not a lot of people in there too. And I tell that just to say to people, like, you might be able to get a bunch of questions answered. Some weeks there's 15, 20. Last week, I think we had like 5, right? Because it just kind of varies. Everybody's kind of busy. But I like having like those office hours where people can come and just, again, I can answer specific questions about their specific teams. Because Dynasty is a very nuanced thing. And I really don't like those articles where it's like, pick up this guy. Like, well, he's already rostered, man. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I really can't do anything. What action am I supposed to take? So yeah, that's what I'm pretty much doing during the season. But again, thanks so much for having me on. This is a great time.
Yeah, I love it, man. And I'm just going to thanks, Jerry B, for the positive comments, man. I always appreciate you being here. Hey, and thank you, everybody else that joined us live. We get a lot of post-live viewers as well. So if you're watching this afterwards, thank you for joining. Remember, check out the Sports Affiliation, the YouTube. We have the Sports Affili on Twitter or X or whatever you call it. And then the sportsaffiliation.com. JC's getting the waiver wire articles, the newsletters. We just had Dr. Jesse Morris on the Game Changers with Carla last night. So make sure you go check that out on our YouTube as well. And then one last question. I'll let you go. Are the Bengals making the playoffs, or 3 teams making it from the AFC North into the playoffs?
Again, I'm answering with my heart here, Iggy. Of course, yes, they are going to. They're going to pull out something. They're going to figure out a way. They're going to be, 9-8, and they're going to squeak into the playoffs. And we're going to make a run, and we're going to get to Louisiana. We're going to be in the Super Bowl. Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow back in New Orleans, and we're probably going to lose the Super Bowl. But damn it, that sounds still like a hell of a ride that I'm excited to be on. So yes, I'm being optimistic.
All right, you heard it right there. Who Dey? Who Dey talking about that, man? Once again, thank you all for joining. I know your time's precious, and taking it to join with us. It really is appreciated over here at the Sports Affiliation. Thank you again, Andrew, for taking time out of your day for joining us. And enjoy the game tonight, Andrew, and enjoy the game, everybody else. Take care.